Wait, we couldn't record that for the show?
That recorded, but copyright
we'll trim
obviously
it.
can't. So
We'll trim it.
Oh,
somehow.
man. Oh, I wanted that to be the intro to today's episode.
It's such a good song.
I mean, any song. But, okay, we are recording.
Yes.
Well, welcome
All right.
everybody to episode 240 of Pero Let Me Tell You.
241.
One.
Actually, 341.
I was wrong.
You were wrong.
Yes.
The streak is over.
Yes. I said 240. Wait,
Yeah, it's 341.
are you sure?
Yes.
Last week was 340?
Yeah,
You're 100% sure.
I am.
Okay.
I am only because since we interviewed the mayor right after, like the day of, so I had to like do the whole description thing. Like, so I was like, wait, 340.5. So this is 341.
Well, welcome to episode 341 of Pero Let Me Tell You. What were we doing in episode 240?
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember we were doing an episode 330. I mean,
10
we were
weeks
here.
ago?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Probably the beginning of the season. Yeah.
10 weeks? No. Would have been more because we're already in April.
Yeah, the beginning of this season would have been
Yeah, maybe.
it-
Yeah.
end of February, and
Yeah.
we started at the beginning of February.
I don't know.
and
Ya estamos
January.
en mayo.
So, you know that saying, what is it? April showers brings May flowers.
Yep.
That shit doesn't apply to Miami.
No. April showers brings humedad
Yeah.
y mosquito.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. Y ya después ahorita, you know, at the end of May, at least in South Florida, empieza la tormenta, you know, at 5 o'clock, right when you're going to leave the office. Because it doesn't happen at 1.
Never.
No, it's always at 5.
No, it's like, ooh, rush hour. Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm papadse, you know, you're running the car and
The only upside to that is that lately, because of the truck now that I have, there's only one spot that I can park in the Gables, and it's always under the trees that nobody parks under because you get shat on by all the birds. So at least now when that rain comes, it helps.
yeah.
I'm choosing to look for the bright side.
Yeah. Well, right before we started recording, we were listening to some hits.
Yes, we were jamming. We're
So,
jamming like early 2000s.
It took us back to early aughts.
Yeah.
And I was thinking of that CD compilation Fired Up. Oh,
Memory unlocked.
Oh, this is your night.
Zombie
Dancing
Nation.
free until the morning light. I'm blue. Da da dee da dee da.
I love all those hits, but
Da-da-dee-da-dee.
where can I get all of them together?
In one easy compilation called Fired Up.
Fired up?
Yes.
Wow, they're all here. All the hits you love from the club and the radio.
Actually, I have the track list of Fired Up.
Wow.
Okay, so it starts with This Is Your Night, and then
Okay.
Around the World, which I already sang, and then How Did You Get Here?
Deborah. Yeah.
Nobody's supposed to be. That's the difference between you and I. I like the R&B version.
I like both.
You like the one. Then the next one is If You Could Read My Mind.
Okay, stars on 54.
And then Don't Call Me Baby.
Okay.
And then Do You Miss Me?
Oh, that's
now
Jocelyn Enriquez.
that you're gone. Do you remember what else she sang? Welcome to my planet soul.
Yes,
Planet soul. And then Free.
The alternate?
I'm free to do what I want to
Yeah, right.
do.
Yeah. But Darian, I mean, surely a CD with all these songs must cost a lot of money.
Not Fired Up. You could pay it in 2 easy payments of $19.99.
Just $20 each payment?
Yes, or you could pay it COD.
Wow.
Does COD even exist anymore?
I don't well, nobody has cash anymore, so no. It's cash on delivery, so no.
And then, okay, actually, you know what song is in here? Well, I turn to you.
Yeah, of course,
Like
our
a
girl.
flower dream leaning for the sun. In a dream, you will
okay.
find my own. Okay, but the,
Amber has to be in there
the
somewhere.
Amber is This Is Your Night.
Okay, yeah.
The best song on there, though, I will say, is, which I actually love this song, is Insomnia.
That's such a good
by
song.
Faithless. Dun 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 dun
Yeah, I
dun.
like Insomnia.
That's a
I
good
like-
song, Junior, right?
I like
We like Insomnia?
Is it
Yes.
Sandstorm? Is that Is that not the other
Darude?
one?
Sandstorm.
Sandstorm.
Darude.
There you go.
And then there's also Barbie Girl's on there, but I don't consider Barbie Girl part of.
No, that is a secolo.
And then one of my favorite songs ever on disc 2. Come on ride the train. Michelle, Tamika, and Tanya wanna ride this train. One of the best ones. Your loving feels so good,
And that's what takes me high.
Takes me high. So neat.
Who was it that was at the festival a couple weeks ago? That was Alternate.
Yeah. And then
Sonique was last year.
I don't know. Wait, Blue, call me. That one I don't know.
What is it? What's it called?
Oh, this one. Dun, 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 dun. What song was that?
It's not Conqueror.
That's Feel It by Tamperer.
There you go. That's where I was thinking from. Okay.
Ooh, just a little bit.
Oh, I love
a little bit
Gina
more.
G.
And then
G
of
was
course,
kind of like Mineba for white people.
of course, a classic Missing.
Oh,
Step off the train.
That song is so good.
Song is a good song.
That is such a
Walking
good
down the street.
Do you know where? Again, file this under things that are in my head for no reason. Do you know where they got the name for their band, Everything But the Girl?
I actually know what it is.
You do?
They were selling a furniture store was going out of sale,
Yeah.
out of business, and they were selling everything, including the fixtures, and everything was on sale. But the girl. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. In this week's history of
Why is this in our memory
why
banks?
and I don't know why I know that. You know why? Because we are the generation of VH1 behind the music.
That is why. Pop-up video.
Pop-up video.
Pop-up video.
Do you guys remember pop-up video?
I miss pop-up video.
Pop-up video was such the thing with pop-up video, it was such useless knowledge that will like stay in your brain, hence 20 years later it's still in our brain.
It burrowed there.
Right? But you just were addicted to it.
Yeah.
I you know what my favorite pop-up video is, right?
No, I don't.
My favorite pop-up video is and if I kiss you like it's so hard to believe that it's all coming back to me by Celine Dion is my favorite pop-up video because they had a lot of quirky facts.
Like how many times she spun.
How many? Yeah, she was spinning for like hours.
Yeah.
In a certain scene in the video.
No wonder the poor woman's sick now.
And like the scene where the motorcycle explodes was done in like another country because whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking like, why do I care so much about what?
How many times she spun?
Pop-up video, man.
Yeah.
Pop-up video. Do you remember also on MTV?
That's probably somewhere on YouTube.
For sure. On MTV making the video.
Yeah.
Making the video was the greatest. Do you remember what was the very first video on that show?
For some reason, I want to say J-Lo, but I think that's wrong.
No, J-Lo was the second. And I don't know why I know this.
Okay.
Waiting for Tonight was the second one. The first one was I Do Cherish You by 98 Degrees.
Who are releasing a new album.
Yeah. I don't know why I know that. But it was. I don't even like that song.
And now I'm thinking of J-Lo in a pool dancing with lasers, and she was very concerned about getting burned by them.
She did get burned by them. I remember for Waiting for Tonight. Why do we remember these things? Well,
later.
What is the greatest line that came out from making the video?
Y'all, I have so much choreography in my head right now.
Yep. Britney Spears, The Making of Crazy. And now the world premiere of Crazy. No, You Drive Me Crazy by Britney Spears.
Da na 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 na.
Crazy. Now I'm thinking of Ari Gold. And I know why I'm thinking of Ari Gold.
Why are you thinking
You don't know why I'm thinking of Ari Gold? From Entourage?
Oh, yes. Okay, wait. Okay, because I had to give me a moment. Adrienne Grenier. Right. Okay, yes.
And Melissa Joan
Hart with her weirdly crimped hair.
In that video?
It was weird. I didn't. No.
Stop.
And they all did.
They did.
They all stopped.
Yeah, they did. Making the video, man. I was actually watching this week. There was some content that came up that there's this guy that he's like, "Hey, Gen Xers, yeah, Gen Xers, yeah, hey, Gen Xers, Kurt Loder turns 80 this year."
Oh, that hit me here. And yet, Kurt Loder was old when we were young.
Yeah. Younger,
right? I just don't.
Era el señor on MTV.
Oh no, he was like the respectable journalist.
Yeah,
but I don't remember thinking of him as old.
No, he was, because he was significantly older than everybody else on that channel.
Right. But I never remember looking at him and being like, "Ay, ese viejo."
No, I wouldn't think he was un viejo, but he was, he was very conservative and always in a, jacket, and, everybody else in MTV had, different colored hair, and Kurt Loder was very proper, and, you could tell he was older than everybody else.
Well, I mean, they also always put him next to Tabitha Soren.
Yeah.
I mean, she was. I think she was always sleeveless.
And yeah, I mean, we all remember April 1994. When MTV stopped programming to announce the death of Kurt Cobain. I was actually watching it, but that's all I watched at that point.
Well, like everyone our age at that time.
Yeah, no, but you remember, I really watched MTV. Yeah. Like MTV was all that I watched. And now there's
ridiculousness.
And I miss you like the deserts miss the rain.
Like Gen Xers miss music videos.
Pop-up video. Pop. I mean, Gen Zers, they probably don't even know how videos get made. It's just like they just
show up. Yeah, like magic.
You make them with your phone.
Exactly. Yes. When Ariana's bored, she just gets her iPhone and just starts filming.
I remember at that time, the director that all the boy bands used to hire was Wayne
Isham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all the visuals were the same. Lots of CGI and morphing.
Yeah,
lots of morphing.
Like you would zoom in, it would morph, and you'd zoom out, and you'd be like they'd go from like the North Pole to the Sahara.
Yeah.
And I think that actually was a video somewhere.
Yeah.
and then who was Hype Williams was Fisheye Lens.
Do you know what video this is from? I look at you all confused and I go, whatever.
Wait, no. I know this. This is Stronger.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why do I know that?
Stronger.
She just looks up, she goes, Whatever.
And then he falls over a cushion.
And then it's
There were a lot of aggressive intros to Britney's videos.
You know what? I think it was a Wayne Isham video that was pretty badass. Was "Freak on a Leash" by Korn.
I think it wasn't Wayne Isham. Where is Wayne Isham?
The same place all the other music videos of all these people from that time in the history books.
Yeah, except for David Fincher went on to become a movie director.
Well, so did Brett Ratner.
Right now. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. What is he doing? Maybe he's doing some type of independent films.
Right. My favorite. Oh, we're talking about music videos on Pero. Let me tell you, my favorite, because I, like a lot of kids, I wanted to be a video music director. Yeah, like that was like what I wanted to be when I grew up. And
I wanted to design the CD booklets.
I wanted to be the video music director. And sometimes I've imagined such videos in my head for so many years that when I do look at the real video, I'm like, wait. This is not it. It's not it.
In your mind, your video.
But my favorite music video director is Mark Romanek.
Oh, yeah.
Mark Romanek's videos, like some of his best videos, or his most famous videos, was High Frequencies REM, Rain by Madonna, Free Your Mind by En Vogue, Got Till It's Gone by Janet Jackson, and the greatest music video of all time, and I will fight anybody, which is Scream.
I was going to say it was Scream.
Janet and Michael. And if you look at all his videos, and we're going to move on from this now.
We promise.
All his videos, they're all timeless. Yeah. You look at those videos now, and you can't tell they're 30-some years old, some of them.
Yeah, they don't look dated at all. At all.
Prejudice. Wrote a song about it. Like to hear it? Here you go.
Free your mind.
Wow, you really said that with some
sass.
I wasn't going to say sass. I was going to say raspy, but you go on.
Well,
you go on. So
it's a fine line.
Yeah, what's going on this week?
There's a few things happening.
It's hard to just walk away from that song.
It really is. It really is. And that's why they did it on a runway.
It doesn't mean that all my credit's bad. No.
And now I want to keep going. That's the worst part.
Oh, thank you for having straight hair. No, it doesn't mean there's no blood in my eye. Oh yeah, my attitude. Why even bother? Can't change your mind. Can't change my color. Ooh, ba-da, ooh, ba-da, ooh, ba-da. Junior, sing along. Why must it be this? Can you imagine if like Jojo Siwa does that song?
Oh no. Oh no.
There's somebody, I forgot who it was, who follows us. Who there was something that Jojo Siwa did this week that they sort of tagged us, and he's like, ever since you did your Jojo Siwa impersonation, that's all I can think of when I see her. And I'm like, job well done on my part.
Yes. Listen, sure.
I forgot who it was.
Yeah, she had a moment this week. She realized she's no longer a lesbian, but she's actually queer after being on Big Brother UK and being basically having an incident with Mickey Rourke.
What?
I can't make this up. I know it sounds like I'm Stefan on SNL.
Oh wait, that's actually what they sent me. That's what they sent me in the video. Okay, but why Mickey Rourke?
Because he was in the celebrity Big Brother house with her.
Florida Center for Cosmetic Surgery. Just one look is worth 1,000 words.
I love that we are this generation.
I
didn't mean
the thing about her. The thing about her is that I don't like. I generally don't like to talk badly about people, right. And especially her. She's still a young woman. She's still very young.
Yeah, she's still in her 20s.
So I just. Wow. Do you remember I used to say this when she was a little girl?
Yes, you did.
I was like,
where does this persona go?
They created a monster with that ribboned thing that they did.
Right.
Where does this persona go from here?
Yeah.
Because it's only going to get more obnoxious.
Right. It has a shelf life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember. This was maybe... I don't know.
See, this was PJ. This was pre-junior. So junior may not know about the Jojo Siwa.
This was maybe 6-7 years ago or more. I was at Michael's. And I remember I was looking for something at Michael's that I couldn't find. It was for a project for school or something for Tristan and whatever. And when you're at the store and you're just going around in circles in the store, and I couldn't find it. But that weekend at that Michael's, they were going to do like a Jojo Siwa ribbon making class.
Okay.
So they had a TV where she was like, "Hi, I'm Jojo Siwa. Come have fun with me. And we're gonna make ribbons and ribbons and ribbons." So they had that commercial, that video on a loop. And I remember it got to a point that like when you hear something annoying in the background, you kind of like ignore it, but there comes a moment that you just like stop.
Right, you're done.
And I remember, after going looping around the store like 100 times, I'm like, oh my God, like take it off. Like, can you imagine the torture those poor employees are subject to? Hi, I'm Jojo Siwa. Ribbons. It's like, wow, those people need therapy after this. Like, they need a day off because it's a lot. It's a lot.
It is a lot, but I don't know that means she should be subjected to Mickey Rourke.
That could also be true.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think the punishment fits the crime. Are any of us really right?
Yeah. I think that's we've gone too far.
Yeah, we've gone too far.
Yeah.
So.
Oye, did you hear about el apagón en España? Did that just remind you of what I said, Lupita?
this stupid ass fear 1 year, years ago. When was her name? Lupita
Nyong'o.
they stole her dress or something from the Oscars, like after the Oscars. He calls me the next day.
No, we were walking down the street because we were in New York, and out of nowhere, I just turned to you in the middle of the street. I'm like, oye, ¿viste que le robaron el vestido a Lupita?
You would have thought he was talking about my aunt or something like that. He said it so casually, like, oye, ¿viste que le robaron el vestido a Lupita? No, I didn't hear about el apagón en España.
You really didn't?
No.
Oh, okay, no.
Well, it's not like they were transmitting much.
That is fair. The power was out in all of Spain for like 12 hours and also in parts of France and Portugal.
All of Spain?
Yes.
So the Iberian Peninsula.
The Iberian Peninsula.
And the Basque Country.
They could not make paella unless it was a gas-powered stove.
No, not the paella. Well, why do they need to make paella in Spain when you got paella here at the party?
Right, where everyone has to take a picture with it.
Oh, my God. So, you know what? The whole thing that you say about paella, as I put on my glasses on again, the whole thing you say about paella, you said it here on the show many times that like whenever you have a party and people have a paella or a arroz campesino.
Right, yeah.
It's paella equivalent, sort of.
Paella's cousin.
And that everybody's like, oh, la paella, because of all the, freaking fanfare, the big thing and the making
una
paella. And it's true. It is very true. People are like, una paella. And it's like if they were giving away, like A5 Wagyu, Ever since you've mentioned that, I have been to a few parties where they've had said paella. And I love how the paella makers are like, do you want to take a picture?
Yes.
And look, I believe in being proud of your work.
100%.
I believe in being proud of your work. But I'm not like my thing of chicken wing being like, being pollo. Do you want to take a picture with
karage?
With my wings? Like, and I find that these people are, and they should be proud. Listen, we went to a party a month ago where they had some killer arroz campesino.
It was very good.
Very good. Very well seasoned.
Yes.
And it's funny because I was just taking pictures of like the whole, for the parents of the quinceañera, I was taking pictures of just everything, And when it came down to where they were making the rice, they were like, they put their stuff down to take a picture next to
they took up props.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like they told you about the lighting.
Yeah. So anyway. Yeah. Okay. So I actually want to talk about something a little bit serious that is really affects us here.
El apagón de España no está serio.
Well, I mean,
and it was resolved, so it's okay. They're fine.
Spain will be fine.
They're fine.
They've been around for
a while. They created the language. They're fine.
They're fine. So there's something I want to talk about that is actually a little bit serious. So here in Florida, it was passed by the Florida legislature. We have an ordinance or an act, a law called the Live Local Act. And this was a law that was passed by the Florida legislature, so in Tallahassee, that it pretty much, the main gist of it is that it pretty much allows developers to develop land, overriding whatever zoning laws.
This is recent.
This was put into effect a couple of years ago. And under the law, as it is, developers can bypass local ordinances to build buildings that is a mixed use of like commercial and residential. The only sort of, condition to it is that 40% of what they're building has to be low income housing, right? And this was passed with the intention of having more affordable housing being built throughout the state. But like many things, it's sort of taken a life of its own, and it's given developers a extreme amount of power. So there's currently a bill right now in the Florida legislature, and it's SB 1730. And this bill will expand the Live Local Act, and specifically it will really has the potential of affecting South Beach, because now under this expansion of this act, developers can buy property and they can completely bypass any zoning ordinances or any type of restrictions, building restrictions that they have on there. Specifically, why South Beach is in play is because there's a lot of restrictions and a lot of preservation for a lot of the Art Deco district in South Beach. And if this bill passes, which it most likely will, they can build up to 50-story buildings in, let's say, Ocean Drive, because a lot of the buildings in Ocean Drive are not registered. Because the thing is that it's a little tricky. Like South Beach, the whole area was deemed a like cultural sort of
like a
historical cultural landmark, but there's most of the buildings themselves are not in the National Registry of Historic Buildings. So it's like there's only 8 buildings in South Beach that are protected by that. So in other words, if this passes, they can demolish and build over a lot of these Art Deco buildings that are usually 2 to 3 stories tall, and build high rises out of them. And South Beach leaders and just people all over Miami are really upset about this, because it's pretty much giving developers free reign to build whatever they want. Because if they build something, they could bypass all of the ordinances and the restrictions, and there's no sort of type of local government pushback or restriction or oversight, and there's certainly no type of public opposition to it. They can literally buy the land and build it, because this bill or this law gives them that power. And a lot of the people that are supporting that law are representatives up in Tallahassee that are local, and they're supporting this law. And this is one of the type of things that you really have to understand when you're voting for someone and or you support or not support a bill. You really have to understand the totality of that, right? Because to say that developers have the potential now, which they will, to come to South Beach and sort of have free reign to redevelop what they want with very little or no oversight, will be a total devastation of essentially what is the anchor culture of Miami Beach and Miami, because the culture and the image of Miami as a generally is the Art Deco district, the Art Deco style, the color palette. That is what Miami is. And you're essentially giving free reign to developers over this. And a big criticism of the Live Local Act, which with this expansion and even before the expansion, a lot of people that have criticized is that it's given developers free reign to do whatever they want, and then there's ways around the 40% thing, and then they say that 40% of it has to be affordable housing, but quote, what is affordable housing?
That was gonna be my
because
question.
They were saying that it's like a medium household that makes $96,000 can qualify for affordable housing. If you're making $96,000, especially with how expensive Miami now is, yes, you don't have as many options as you once did. But I think we can all agree that that is not probably the biggest demographic of income-wise of people that need affordable housing.
And that wasn't the intent.
Right. So, right. But that is why whenever you hear of bills or laws that give, in this case, developers tax breaks, right, to build. Oh, you're going to get all these tax incentives if you come and build, and the building is mixed use and all that. You have to be very weary of that, because developers are in here to make money. Their point is to do your building, and get in and get out, right? They don't care the effect that it has on the neighborhood, on the culture, on just the essence of where their building is. To build their building, get in and get out. That is their point. And the problem is that if you give these entities free reign to do whatever they want, that is how you that is how you pretty much demolish not just a building, but you demolish just everything that is.
That's how you get the new Coco Walk.
That's how you get the new Coco Walk. What I watch a lot about this because I love architecture and all that and civil engineering. So it's just an area that I'm always very interested in. So there's this trend called corporate cities, which is cities that they're designed to be walkable, but they're not really walkable. And for example, it's like 5-story apartment buildings that usually have like large windows. They're made out of brick. And in the bottom, they'll have like a Sweet Greens, a Chipotle, Starbucks, these type of like big franchise, stores. And it's like that concept is repeated over and over and over and over again all over the country. And that's so true. That's so true because a lot of these concepts of these like 5 to 6 story buildings that have, again, these establishments, they usually don't have mom and pop shops or like a little local restaurant or something. They'll have a Chipotle, right?
Because they charge an arm and a leg for the rent.
Right. So that I have to tell you, that's been all over the news here locally. If this bill passes, that has the potential of being catastrophic to especially Miami Beach. And we are already losing the essence of Miami. It's something we've talked about here on the show many times. And we know things change and things evolve. They can't stay the same forever, but at the rate that things are changing in Miami, it's very alarming. And this is sort of like the nail in the coffin. Yeah. If you allow developers to come to your city, in this case, Miami Beach, and just have free reign to build whatever they want, because they're not going to respect the fact that it's Art Deco. They're not going to respect the fact that these buildings are 100 years old. They don't care. They're going to bring them down, and Ocean Drive and all the other areas of Miami Beach that have these beautiful collections of Art Deco are going to become glass towers with absolutely no type of personality, no type of history, with mixed use high-end condos with a couple of condos sprinkled in there that are not. And you're going to essentially lose the essence of Miami Beach and of Miami. And I think it's very alarming. And I think it's something that people should be outraged on, like outraged that we would allow this. And I ask people to look into this, read about this, because a lot of the local leaders that we voted for that are in Tallahassee are supporting this. And I think that if you are an elected official, you need to listen to your constituents.
In theory.
And most of your constituents are not in favor of this. You need to listen to your constituents. Come down here, speak with people, because you're all in Tallahassee making these bills and passing these bills and getting them done. And you need to speak to your constituents, because most people here that are real true Miamians, which are people that probably voted for you, do not want this. So I think this is devastating.
I mean, it is, but at the end of the day, like I just said, they don't care. They don't care. And you know what? Put 100, don't stop at 50. Put 100-story building there. Que el primer huracán que pase, que se desbarate todo. You know what? Pa' que aprendan. Like, I'm over it. I'm at that point where I'm just like, you know what? Fuck around and find out. You want to go in? You want to go and build a 7,000-story, thing on the shore of the beach? Great. And then, el primer viento platanero that comes by, you know what? Que se caiga. Let it sink into the ocean with, all of the global warming and all that other bullshit. I'm done.
I remember, I think we talked about this last year, and I said it. One of the first buildings they said they were going to redevelop was a Clevelander. I said it, and they said, the new Clevelander will have a bar. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's going to have a watered down version of what the bar is with maybe the same sign, and that's it. Right. And I said it. If they build a 50-story tower where the Clevelander is, which is prime Ocean Drive, it's just a matter of time before they all do it. And one of the people that are really or a couple that are really holding strong are the Estefans, because they own the Cardozo Hotel.
That's right.
They actually, them and a bunch of community leaders had a press conference in front of the Cardozo to talk about this. And again, this is one of these things that you as the public, you have to be aware of this, because we all sit at home and then things happen and we're like, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing that. But it's like, yeah, you also need to hold your local leaders accountable, right?
Also
and
remember,
you need
most people don't vote in local elections because and that's why we say, local elections is where change really happens that affects you most directly. A lot of people will vote when it's a presidential year, like for the big elections, but then they don't.
The general election.
Right. But then they don't do their diligence with, the people who are impacting their every day-to-day lives. Right. And again, listen, you could vote for somebody and then they still turn around and do something like this, because if this wasn't on the table when you voted them in, you know what I mean? Like, again, there's no guarantee of one way or the other. But, all I will say is to those owners who had that press conference, please be the gentleman in Coral Gables who did not give in to the Lowe's Hotel. Be those people.
Oh, he's my hero.
Be those people.
The guy, we've talked about him here in the show. If you're from Miami, you know this. There's this huge complex that they built in Coral Gables called the Plaza, which, mind you, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I've gone several times, like lots of restaurants. It's beautiful. Let's not pretend that it's not.
They put a sandwich next to me.
It was very well executed, and it goes with the theme of the city. But to build that, they had to demolish several blocks of residential housing. And there was this man who said, no, you're not taking my house. This house, he and his parents moved here in 1989 from Cuba, and his parents saved money to buy that house. And so the house has personal memories for him. And he's like, I am not selling this house. And they gave him hell. They gave him absolute hell. Everybody did. The city, the contractors, the developers, the construction companies, everybody gave him hell. And he stood his ground. And if you go there today, they built that massive complex around his house.
Yeah.
And his house sticks out like a sore thumb. And every time I go by there, I go, you, sir, are my hero.
My hat off to you.
My hero. That you stood, the little guy stood up to the developers and said, hell no.
Hasta aquí llegaste.
Hasta aquí llegaste. So,
Yeah. So be that guy.
Be that guy. Be that guy, owners.
Yes. Stefan's and everyone else who was at the conference. Yeah.
I mean, I feel the Cardozo Hotel will be saved, but, a lot of them, that thing will probably be deeded to an inch of its life, with covenants.
I'm sure.
Yeah, so.
I'm sure.
Moving right along.
Moving right along, feeling fancy free. I always say that. You never know what I'm talking about.
No.
So I saw something the other day that I was like, I feel like this would be a good topic for you specifically. So the other day, I haven't watched The View in forever, but they were talking on The View the other day about John Cena's decision to get hair implants.
Mm-hmm.
Because he felt like he was, he said that he used the word bullying. I don't know that I'd go that far, but he felt like, I guess, public pressure, right? Like,
who bullied John Cena?
Well, but okay. But first of all, you know what? Listen, he's still a person. He still has feelings,
Right, but who bullies John Cena?
But I'm saying, but if people are saying stuff about you,
but it's online, yeah, of course.
It's online, and if you're insecure about whatever it is, you take it to heart. So, their whole thing was like, if you feel insecure about something, get it done. And he got his hair, I'm assuming it was implants or whatever. And, it made him feel good. And they were talking about how it's very different, insecurities like that we kind of expect it from a woman, right? Mm-hmm. Like we all women are always told they're fat, they're this, you have to wear makeup, you have to wear, but for men, it's always seen as this anomaly. Right? That somebody would take that much care, like, oh, I feel really bad about my hair, my butt, my shoulders, whatever. And I was like, okay, that's a very interesting topic, especially for us to go into, because we are two men, and usually these topics tend to fall under the female, heading. And also, you are very big on your hair.
I am.
You are very big on your hair.
I've always been big on my hair.
Yes. So I was like, you know what?
And if you followed us in season 1, you remember my hair.
You've seen the hair journey.
I agree 100% with that. look, I remember one time years ago, a very good friend of ours, she said that I was like a really narcissistic person. And I said,
Really?
why? And I go, because sometimes I don't do this all the time, but especially living here in Miami, I'll buy like a men's moisturizer with SPF.
Okay.
Right? Because it's here in Miami.
It's
and
the
like
sun,
every single, even dermatologist tells you that you should wear SPF. And I think I was saying something along the lines of like, oh shit, I ran out of, and it's like a men's line, right? I think I ran out of this and like, I got to go buy it or whatever. And she's like, you're so narcissistic. Like, no guy I know wears that. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. I sort of responded with like, oh, I'm sorry. I guess I'm supposed to like just be like SPF,
Right.
Come
like,
on,
skin
UV
cancer.
rays get me because I'm a guy, and that's like just on a little,
Right.
just a comment from a friend. And I mean, I think that what you're talking about is more than just hair, whether it's that you want to look good, and I'm not talking about healthy, I mean like good, right? Or your hair or all that. And then, if you take care of your face and all that, yeah, there's still a certain sort of like, oh, you're a dude. And it's like, okay, you don't have to like be like, hey, welcome to my 10
Get ready with me.
Get ready with me and welcome to my 10 steps morning skin routine.
We don't have to be Ashton Hall.
Right. But if you are, it's okay. Right. And as far as men getting hair implants, have you seen the freaking industry in Turkey?
I know 2 people who've gone.
Yeah. Like it's a big deal. Like
2? Maybe 3.
No. It's like hundreds of thousands of men, if not millions. I don't want to say millions, but it's hundreds of thousands of men go every year to Istanbul to get hair implants because los turcos son los mejores en los hair implants y en las novelas.
And
las novelas también.
What a duopoly to have, right? Like novelas
and yeah, I mean, if you're not, I mean, I've had some hair loss because just as you gain older, you age. But let me tell you something. If I were to get to the point that I go, yeah, no, I would totally do it. Because for me, hair is very important. Like to you, it's not. To you, it's not. Like this is something you and I joke about all the time. Like when you were in your 20s and you were starting to lose your hair, I'm like, dude, you need to go on Rogaine. And you're like, I don't care. I would have been like ODing on Rogaine.
Right.
Like,
but if my ass has started to go flat.
Okay, see.
No, but I'm saying, but that's my Achilles heel, is what I'm saying. Like we all have our thing,
Yours is your ass.
Yes.
Okay. For the rest of us mere mortals, I remember I would tell you and you'd be like, and I'm like, yeah. But for me, like hair is very important. Like very, very important. I would totally do it. Totally. But you do a good job. No te pongas uno esos peluquines that you glue onto your head and you could tell a mile away. So, I mean, it's like, who are you trying to fool? Oh. Like, who are you trying to fool?
Did you see the mugshot I sent you the other day?
Of the local celebrity?
Yes.
I don't want to call him out, but there is a local celebrity here. Well, no, he's not local. He's local, but he's a worldwide celebrity who was arrested. Great,
I mean, listen,
community, Miami sort of icon or well known. Right. That it's like, dude, you have a lot of money. Why don't you get a better hair?
Go to Turkey.
Go to Turkey.
Go to Turkey.
You have
the means. You have the means.
You know who's done his hair? The great hair, known for his hair is David Beckham. Because David Beckham, David Beckham for man.
I thought you were gonna say Sammy.
No, dude. David Beckham, for men's hair has had many hair moments. Yeah. And
really? He's again,
they've shown pictures of him with thinning hair. And then now he has a full head of hair. They're like, yeah, because he went to Turkey or wherever. And he very subtly had it done.
That's another thing. You can't go from being bald as a cue ball to having, locks of hair.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, good for him. I mean, good for John Cena.
No, yeah, 100%. I just think it's one of those.
Because what you don't want to do, especially if you're a public person, be ridiculous like John Travolta. That it's like, John, we all know it's a wig.
Right.
And it's not a good one. If you're going to do it, do a good one. It's okay.
Or just just go bald. Like, I mean, at a certain point.
Well, but clearly, if he was wearing a wig,
right.
it's because he didn't want to go bald.
Right.
He didn't want to accept it.
But what I'm saying is, at a certain point, if you're not going to commit to doing it well, like, just start embracing the baldness.
And then you know what though? I don't say this playing around. It's true. Some men do look good bald.
Yeah.
Others don't. I will be the latter.
We don't know. We should put a bald cap.
I know. I've shaved my head really well. No, but even shaved your head.
That's
still
different. That's different.
But bald. I mean, I will never be bald. But some. You know that I forget that Junior doesn't have hair.
I know. I was just thinking the same thing. I was like, wait.
The other day I saw him without the hat. I'm like, Junior doesn't have hair?
Because
like,
Junior always has a hat.
Junior, do you not have hair because you're bald or because you shave your head? Or both?
Life.
Okay. Because of life.
Because of life. Yeah. Just life, some years. And yeah. And I don't miss it.
Okay.
I don't miss it. I do miss the beard that I had. I had a big.
You have a nice beard.
Roby Ramos. Diego
well, not all of us can be as
DJ gorgeous beard. All right.
To Robbie, not all of us can be gifted in the hair department in both head and beard as
true.
him.
That dude is a Florida follicle fountain. That's what he is.
It's wonderful. That should be on a t-shirt.
Florida follicle
follicle fountain. That's what Ponce de Leon did not find.
Yeah.
That's great.
You know, I still have my hair from when my hair was long.
You kept it?
I kept it because I was going to donate it and they returned it.
Why?
Because the ends were damaged. I was thinking, why don't you just cut the ends?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you already have it in your possession. Just
they were damaged, but then they returned it. I never told you this.
No.
I got a package in the middle of the day, and I'm like, "What is this?" And I'm like, "It's my hair," because I had donated it, and then they returned it. I would have been like, wouldn't have they just discarded it?
Or why did they just? Yeah. First of all, yeah. Why did they return it?
Yeah, they returned
why did
it.
they just cut the ends? Like,
they just returned it.
Like, I'm sure there's somebody out there who wants
So
a bob.
So, you know, for those of you who have not been following us since Pero Let Me Tell You started, in our first season, I had very, very, very long hair.
Yes, Jesus hair. He was leaning into the Jesus part.
No, and especially that last year, because our first season was the last year I had long hair. Like, that year, I just did not even cut the end. So it was like I look pictures now and I'm like, coño.
Yeah, no, it was like down your middle of your back. No,
yeah, like I look at picture of it, I'm like, coño. I was rivaling Lady Godiva. I'm like, what was I doing here?
You should have come in on a horse singing Georgia on my mind.
Oh my god.
Is there enough to make 2 pelucas for Asian Eye?
Yeah,
there was.
Have I ever
No,
said?
he still has it.
That's true. You're right. Yeah, he still has it.
So I actually have a funny story. I'm pretty sure I've shared it here on the podcast, but it's been a while. So it's been 341 episodes. Some stories are going to get repeated. So when my hair was long, this was when I was growing it out. So it wasn't even like as long as it got. It was probably like a year and a half into growing it out. So it was sort of touching my shoulders. So I still wasn't putting it, like picking it up for work, like putting it in a man bun. I was still wearing it to the office down. And this lady comes to see me, this client, you know, she comes to the attorney's office. And first of all, she sees me and she's like, because every time people would see me, I'm like, yeah, you're not what I was, I'm not what you were expecting, right? So, and I remember that this specific day, I was actually dressed very well. Like I had like a collared shirt on and I had a vest and I was dressed very properly, but my hair was long. And una dominicana. And she was talking to me about estate issues because her husband had passed away and, you know, what to do. And
she's very serious. It's an attorney.
Yeah, very serious, you know. And she was telling me all about, you know, well, she told me that her husband had passed away and what some of his assets were and blah, blah, blah. So here I was going on like a 20-minute spiel. I'm like, okay, so this is what we're going to do. We need to do like an asset, like inventory and see what things are. And then, you know, you told me that he worked at a certain location. So we need to see what, if he had life insurance and what his benefits were and, who was the beneficiary and if he had a 401k, that whole spiel. So I go on for like 20 minutes and she's looking very attentively at me, which makes sense because I was telling her some pretty, important things. So then I finish my spiel. I'm like, bueno, ¿usted tiene algunas preguntas? And then she looks at me and she goes, ¿Eso que tú tienes, ese pelo, eso son extensiones? And I was like, señora. And she's like, ay, sí, yo quiero saber si esas son extensiones. And I'm like, I just gave this woman a 20-minute spiel about her dead husband's death benefits. And her question to me was if I had hair extensions. Like, what are we doing here?
Welcome to Hialeah.
What are we doing here? And then I sort of ignored the question. And then I'm like, sí, pero usted tiene preguntas sobre los beneficios de su esposo. And then we started talking about it. But not to be shut down, as when we got up and I was walking her to the door, she touches my hair and she goes, ay, pero es que ese pelo tuyo está bello. Eso está bello, pero eso es el pelo tuyo natural. O esas son extensiones. And I'm like, for the love of God, woman, I'm not going to answer this question. Get out of my office. Like, I did answer the question, actually.
But did you take her on as a client?
No.
Okay.
She didn't come back.
Okay.
I think she maybe got mad I didn't answer the question.
Because she probably thought that you were keeping the good extensions all to yourself. And she was not having that.
People, yeah, whatever.
She wasn't having it.
And I remember some other guy asked just random things. I mean, I could have a whole podcast of just like isms that happened in my office in Hialeah. The guy that thought was sure I was an extra in like the Fast and the Furious. And I'm like,
how did that even come up?
Ese eres tú.
Because he goes,
Yo te
igualito,
conozco.
igualito. En esta
Ese eres tú.
Exactly. On point. On point, Junior. And I was like, bueno, yo cuando era más joven me gustaba correr carro, pero no, yo no estoy en la película. Oye, no, pero tú estás seguro. And I'm like, yes, I would know if I was in a franchise movie with Vin Diesel and, at that time, Paul Walker. Like, I would know.
I would hope.
Right. But, I mean, I would have so many stories for the podcast.
You would. You'd have to start a miniseries.
Right.
Because there's so many of those shows.
Yeah. I mean, so many things. So many things. So, at least nobody ever told me I look like a pirate.
Did they tell it to somebody else?
I don't know, because, pirates have long hair.
Oh, well, you don't have a peg leg.
No.
Or an eye patch.
No. One of the funniest things, comments that I got when my hair was long was because coincidentally, when my hair was long, I was in really good shape. That's when I was like killing it at the gym. So I would always have, my hair in a man bun. And, I would always wear like bodybuilding.com t-shirts. Remember that era of mine? And I remember, my dad, of course, never liked that I went through this era. So my dad would be like, porque tú no te vistes como un abogado. Tú te vistes como un entrenador personal. And I'm like, I'll take it.
Wow. They look great.
I'm like, I'd rather look like a personal trainer any day.
This is not
over
the insult you think it is.
I know, Robert.
Yeah, this is not. Have you seen The Average Lawyer? No. This is.
Ay, pareces un entrenador personal. And I'm like, although we're winning here.
Thank you. So kind.
My dad has always been disappointed at me that I don't dress from Josse Banks or Brooks Brothers. That's something.
It's just the way it is. And that's why he just gets you perpetual polos from Ross.
Yes. And TJ Maxx. I actually, if you go down to my car right now, there is a TJ Maxx bag with 2 polos I'm going to go return. And they've been in my car for like a month because they're black polos. Similar to what I'm wearing now.
Where's that black polo from?
No, this one is legit. This one is from that subscription service I have. Stitch Fix. This is not a sponsored post.
No.
This is not a sponsored
but
post.
Stitch Fix, if you want to sponsor us,
I do subscribe to Stitch Fix.
That's right, you do.
I do. And it's a value. Right. But my parents are always getting me, polos because I should dress conservatively. And I'm like, oh my God.
And the funny thing is you don't dress like unconservatively.
Right.
In the grand scheme of things. Right.
I will never forget. This is like one of my favorite moments with my parents that some years back, we took a family cruise and it was Captain's Night. And I was wearing a tux, like a real tux. and I wore it with Jordans. I thought I looked badass.
I'm sure you did.
Badass. And I'll never forget that when I got to it was captain's night, and in in the cruise we were in, the ship we were on, the promenade area, we had I had gone down and the elevator had opened, and right when I stepped into the whole promenade, my parents were there, and my dad looked me up from head to toe like if I walked in naked. Like, he was so disgusted, like, that I wore, Jordans with a tux. And I'm like, yeah, and I look badass, Dad. And I would do it again.
I look like a formal personal trainer.
A formal personal trainer. I wouldn't do that to a wedding because I feel that's stealing thunder a little bit.
Well, okay, yeah, but if everybody's looking at you instead of the bride, I mean, where did we start off with to begin with?
Yeah, if my Jordans is what you're looking at in my tux and not the bride and the groom,
right?
We have bigger questions.
Right. If your focus is all on your feet as opposed to like the couple getting married.
All eyes on me.
Empezamos mal.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Tupac song. Okay.
Yes.
You have anything else you want to tell me?
Let's see. Do I?
Don't call me, baby. This is your night.
Well, since we're doing music, I actually wanted to bring something up.
Light.
So I
together forever. Can we sing? I mean, I'm the one who should know this, right? But I never did IP law. Can we sing, Junior?
Yes.
And everything is gonna be all right. Oh yeah. So in love with you. Oh yeah. It's so good to be true. What's another song Amber sang?
Sexual. I
just think of the Chihuahua.
Yes, the little Chihuahua.
No, not that one. No.
That's Crystal Waters.
And
then she also sang Above the Clouds.
What's Above the Clouds?
It's a lesser known track.
Okay.
But yeah.
Deep cuts.
Yeah.
Of all those songs, you know what my jam is, right? You don't know what my jam is? You've known me for 35 years and you don't know what my jam is?
You have lots of jams.
I have lots of jams. There is a jam that is my song. That it's a song everybody knows, but that's my jam.
For some reason, I want to go with like "Come on, Ride the Train," but
no.
I feel like that you just love for Michelle Tamika.
Boy, you should know that
okay.
I got you on my mind.
A secret admirer.
I've been watching you. At night, I think of you. I want to be your lady, baby. If your game is on, give me a call, boo. If your love is strong, gonna give my all to you. That's my jam. That's my jam. And you know why that's my jam? Because in the early aughts, I had 210s in the back of my car. So my bass was like top tier. And the bass in that song is like great. That's such a, you know what? I was actually explaining. I don't know if this is Miami culture.
I love that Junior's still singing, by the way. Like Junior's like, no, I must see this through.
I don't know if this is Miami culture. And you weren't into this. I know you weren't into this, but I was. And I don't know if this is just Miami culture. I would say also New York, because there's a lot of overlap with Miami and New York culture, especially with like music and stuff. But people in New York don't have yards in Manhattan.
Yeah.
So, but I was actually talking to a friend of mine the other day, who's not from here. And I was saying something along the lines of like, something that just you would do in Miami, especially if you were a guy, is like Saturday, you would wash your car because you would go out on Saturday and you wanted to go out in like a clean ass car.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And then you would wash your car. You would watch your car and you'd put the radio up in the car. And then, I had a lot of Acuras, I had a few Acuras in the early aughts.
You did.
And, I had like the badass sound system. And I'm like, you would just play your jams while you wash your car. And then later that night when you went out in your nice clean car.
With the jams.
With my CD changer.
With your multiple CD changer, yes.
Oh yeah. People talk now. Let's be honest here. Listeners, viewers, Junior. people talk now that, oh, we're distracted on our phone while we're driving. Me, this was me in the early 2000s, like driving with my knee while I'm looking through my CDs, my multiple CD books. Yeah. Like, okay, what is it? Okay, Médalo. Like,
yep. Traffic be damned.
Traffic be damned. Which I think that's actually worse than like screen, because you could do this. I mean,
no, you weren't even trying to look up.
Yeah.
You weren't. You were like, knees, just keep going straight.
Yeah. And back then we didn't have Bluetooth. So if we wanted to call someone, you'd be like on your flip phone, like dialing the number while you were going through your CDs. Somebody else was driving the car. It was my knee. Like driving the car.
We used to be so talented.
So I was like, take that, people.
What about
drive.
Reading directions on MapQuest?
On MapQuest on the
printout,
yes.
And you stapled it because you're going over.
Yes.
Like if it was
yes.
a big ass map.
Turn left and 24A. Is this it?
Damn it, that was 24B. MapQuest.
Yeah.
MapQuest should have just transitioned to an app.
I think they tried
TomTom, right? I think it was TomTom.
The TomTom Club, Genius of Love. I'm in heaven with my boyfriend, my laughing boyfriend, but it's just a sweet, sweet fantasy, baby. You're New York in the house. Is Brooklyn Mariah, in the house?
Go back like
babies and pacifiers. This is the music.
I love it.
Episode of Pero Let Me Tell You.
I love it. Pero Let Me Tell You, the musical.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
It's a musical.
Cut me out.
It is a musical.
Cut me out.
A musical.
Cut me out.
There are songs being sung. It is a musical.
I mean, listen, I think that if there should be a song, I don't know, if we were to do a soundtrack of Pero Let Me Tell You, we need to be deep on Exposé. Come go with me.
I feel like we'd have to have at least 3. At the start, in the middle, and at the end.
Of Exposé?
Yeah, at least.
Come go with me, Point of No Return, and let me be the one to hold on to you.
Exposé, just come on the show already.
Listen.
I mean, come on. I'm sure you'll be here soon enough for a freestyle concert.
Hold on. Jeanette, Anne, and Joya.
Yes.
And Kelly.
Yeah, all 4 of you. We'll get more couch.
We're fans. Like, we went to your reunion in 2006 at the Freestyle Explosion concert in the Miami.
That thing was lit.
In the AAA. And I lost my shit. I was like, if I was seeing
the Beatles.
I lost my shit. So Exposé, we're real fans here. I mean, we were really small when they came out. We were little kids, but we jammed too.
And listen, Lisa's been on the show already. Ask her. She had a nice time.
Yeah. Lisa, I think, was our last guest before the pandemic.
Yes, she was. She was because it was supposed to be her and Exposé.
Yeah,
were at the fair, and then the fair got canceled.
Yeah, and we were supposed to like meet up with her.
Yeah,
it didn't happen.
No, it didn't happen.
We didn't meet up with Lisa or the Cult Jam.
No.
But you guys talked about making a concert, a festival happen. So
yes,
you can start adding those names to the festival.
So we're expanding from the box.
Okay, we need to. We're manifesting the festival.
Oh, isn't that what we're doing?
Yeah.
Okay, I was pretty sure.
Okay, but if we have this Cultura Music Festival, where will we have it?
Tamiami Park.
Tamiami Park?
Well, because we've worked with the fair before, so I'm sure we could get something going.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we know the people there. That's the only reason I'm saying Tamiami Park.
Or tropical. It has a hill. There's elevation. Elevation.
So is it because you're thinking Exposé can only perform at a certain altitude?
Like, no, because I'm thinking of like when you see images of like Woodstock and shit, you know, it's like hilly, you know? Because Cultura's Music Fest is going to be as big as Woodstock.
That is true.
Where were you in the summer of 26?
That's true. The problem is that the hills are so far away from where the concert would happen.
Oh no, we'll make it work.
Okay. And then we can have the food trucks there.
Yeah.
In that
we're not gonna attend.
No. We can have them be there. No, we're gonna be emceeing.
Yeah.
Right. So we can't be doing people. We can have other people doing it for us.
Yeah. So Exposé is going to be one of the featured acts in the
Exposé Lisa.
I mean, you know what? We should just go big and go home. We should try to have the headliner be like Beyonce. Like, why not?
Well, because if we don't get Beyonce, we can still get somebody. You know, if we're aiming high, there's still a range.
I mean, look, I'd be happy if the headliners are Willie Chirino. Like,
Listen,
what's more at Miami iconic than that?
Bring it. Let's have Willie Chirino, Albita. Actually, you know what? This concert would be great because it would be like Exposé Lisa, Albita, Willie Chirino.
What are some of your Willie Chirino's greatest hits?
The entire Oxígeno album.
Oxígeno, esa mujer me da oxígeno.
Yeah, that's the one with Mr. Don't Touch the Banana, Medias Negra.
That's all on the same album?
Yes, that's why that song, that album is like the quintessential. It's
Llevaba
Saturday.
medias negras y me robó el corazón.
Yeah, that one and Bachata de Amor, Juan Luis Guerra 440 are like the Saturday Limpia la Casa albums.
Yeah. You know what? Seriously speaking, Willie Chirino, his song, obviously his iconic song, Ya Viene Llegando.
Yes.
When that song came out, we were kids. And
We were like in middle school.
I remember, we were younger than that. We were kids when that song came out. And I remember just being a kid and being like, oh, this song, like,
Right.
whatever. It's not the song a 8 or 9-year-old is going to be into, right? But I have to tell you that song now, I listen to that song now and it gets me like super emotional because now I understand. And especially the end, like I get chills just talking about it, right? Especially the end when they do the Cuban national anthem. Because now as an adult, I understand and I know what I didn't know as a kid. And now I feel it, which at that point I didn't feel the nostalgia and sort of, importance of our culture and our heritage. And that song now, I listen to it and it's just so really, it hits really deep. And now I understand why my parents and so many people responded to that song the way it did and why it's so iconic, because it really, in a song that's 3-4 minutes long or whatever, he was able to capture perfectly the sentiment that not only Cubans, but people that have exiled from their country feel. And it's just, it's a great song. And that's why, 30 some 40 years later, it's still pretty
relevant.
iconic. It's still unfortunately it's still relevant. But that's a great song. The same thing with Mi Tierra, by Gloria Estefan.
God, that album's how old now?
That album came out in 1993, so it's gonna be 32 years old this year. That when Mi Tierra came out, I was a little older, but and Mi Tierra is more like it's more a beat.
Yeah, it's more of just like oh my God, like a concept album,
right?
Yeah,
but Mi Tierra, when that song came out, again, I didn't really understand it. It didn't hit me. But now, as an adult, I think of the line, La tierra donde naciste no la puedes olvidar porque tiene tus raíces y lo que dejas atrás. In your 30s and 40s, that hits very differently than when you're a kid. Yep. And now that's another song that I listen to and I'm kind of like, wow, this hits hard.
That's another album that just every song on it is just like perfect. Like just it's totality.
Yeah, I've told you my favorite song from that album is Tradición. Tradición which is the last song on the album, is fantastic. All of it. That album, let's not forget, that album was a really big deal when it came out.
Yeah.
Mi Tierra.
Mira, now she's releasing a new album called Raíces.
Yeah. Mi Tierra, Gloria Estefan.
Yeah.
So, okay,
right.
Well, I think that's
we've been so musically inclined that we're thirsty.
Welcome to the music edition. Yeah. I mean, I feel that I should leave my last soda to a musician. Right. Let's leave it to I don't know, Mozart.
He'll never hear it coming.
Actually, today I was watching, because Abel's coming out with a new movie about his album, The Weeknd. I call him Abel, and I talk about him as Abel. Like I assume everybody knows that I'm talking.
Like your BFFs,
right? Yeah. Well, him and I would be BFFs.
You would be, but you talk about him like you just got off the phone with him.
Oh yeah, with Abel.
Yeah.
My boy Abel.
Yeah, we're chatting.
My boy Abel from Canada, from Scarsborough. Canadian. Anyway, he's doing press for his new movie Hurry Up Tomorrow, and they were asking him and the rest of the cast, like, what was the first movie you ever watched that when you were watching it or retrospectively, you realized that this movie was all about the music or that the music played an integral part of the movie? When they said that, I immediately thought about 2 movies. What do you think about?
That music played like an integral part
Of the movie.
So not a musical movie, but like a movie that has music that is memorable.
Right. That a movie that like the music is
Such an integral part of it.
of it, whether it's intentionally
me,
or unintentionally.
I would go with the 2 that spring to mind immediately is Superman and Indiana Jones.
The theme, the score.
The score. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Junior?
Indiana Jones
Mhm.
and Baby Driver.
Baby Driver.
Oh, that's a good one because
Wow.
music
Baby
is
Driver.
very inherent. Yeah.
They were talking about like Psycho and stuff like that.
Okay. I
so
can see that.
the 2 for me, immediately when they answered that question, I thought 2. Purple Rain, which is probably the movie I've seen the most in my life, is Purple Rain. But Purple Rain was very intentionally, the music of Purple Rain was featured throughout the movie. But I thought Purple Rain and The Matrix. Music is such an important part of The Matrix. Like, think about the elevator scene of The Matrix. Think about that scene without the music. What makes that scene is the score, the music.
Excuse me.
And I mean, there's a lot of movies that's the case
hundreds,
of.
yeah.
But those 2 and
But it's just interesting how we each had like different, you know what I mean? And again, it goes to show like to your point, music is so integral to a movie.
And sometimes you don't even realize it until the movie is over with.
That's the best kind.
Because a movie that the music is so important to the storytelling, but at the moment you don't realize it because you're on a fucking emotional roller coaster and you're trying to like make it through the movie, is 500 Days of Summer.
You're right.
The music of that movie is insane.
Yeah, it's like an indie.
I take my pick back. You keep your Indiana Jones. I take my Baby Driver and 500 Days of Summer.
Yeah. Think about the music.
And a lot of people discovered so much, so many new artists from that movie because it's kind of like 20 different music videos made into a movie in a weird way.
You like that movie?
Yeah.
So I've started to use that movie as a litmus test for people. If you watch 500 Days of Summer and you feel nothing, you're dead. Like, you're dead inside. Like, you're dead. The last time I went to LA, I went, Junior, listeners, I went to The Bench. Wow. And I remember being there and I'm like, why am I getting so into this? Like, I'm on a freaking bench in a park from a freaking movie that's not even real. What I was never sure with you. You weren't wrong, Tom. You were just wrong about me.
Oh,
you gotta go see the Forrest Gump bench.
The Forrest Gump bench. Yeah, that's a good bench.
Are you guys going to do a bench tour?
Memorable benches.
Memorable benches.
Let's go.
That's another summer. Memorable benches.
Memorable movie benches.
Pero let me tell you, in Cultura, memorable benches in movies. Wait, I can't think of another bench, but I'm sure there's one.
There's for sure plenty benches, and I mean sports benches. So
that's
right, but that's a whole other, you know.
Okay. Hoosiers.
That's a whole other.
But I feel like we'd have to
Air
broaden the scope at some point.
Yeah, that's a whole other one. So okay, well, let's get to our last soda. Yeah, no, if you don't feel anything watching 500 Days of Summer, like I don't think you're all there. Like,
there's something off,
right? And you look, I'm open to different opinions, right? Because with 500 Days of Summer, the big question is like, is she the villain?
Right,
is
right.
she the good one?
Right.
Like, was she was always honest with him, but you know, whatever. I just can't get over the reality versus expectation part of the movie. And you know what happened to me with that movie? I saw that movie and I had no idea what it's about because that was like a slow burner.
Yeah.
Right?
Did you see it in the theater?
No, I didn't. It was a slow burner.
I did.
And it was one of these movies that sort of was like never top in the box office, but it was still in the movie theater, right? And then finally when it came out at home video, I'm like, oh, I'm going to watch this movie. And I start watching the movie and I'm like, oh my God. Like, Tom, we need to give you a collective hug, Tom.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt deserves it.
Anyway. So last soda time.
All right. Do you have yours?
I do.
All right.
I want to give my last soda to a guest of ours who we really like, we've met up with, is our own, homeboy, Miami proud, Boris Sanchez from CNN.
He hasn't been on in a while.
So the reason I'm giving it to Boris is because this week I'm not sure if it premiered this week, but I saw it this week. So I'm going to say
It premiered for you.
this week. He did a series, or CNN posted a series where it says, Florida oozes from my pores. It's the headline of it's a video. And pretty much is Boris showing, what he loves about growing up in South Florida. And he goes scuba diving with his friends. And it shows, what we know here about Miami and the Keys and all that. And, the lifestyle of living here. And in his particular case, going down to like the reefs and all that, and the food and all and that, and he's wearing like a Marlin shirt, and I love when people that life and career has taken them away from Miami, to like much bigger and relevant platforms. Whenever they have a chance, they bring it back to the 305.
Yeah.
And, I loved that about him. I love that because he lives in DC, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, he lives in DC. He's a CNN correspondent, or anchor with like a show, serious. And the moment he can, he shows his pride of the 305. So I thought that was really cool. And I just saw that. I didn't even know that was up. And I saw that. And I really like that. I really like that, he pitched that, because obviously if that got produced is because he pitched that idea that, he felt strong enough and proud enough to go up to his producers and be like, hey, maybe we should do a segment about this.
Yeah.
And that, hometown boy does well, ends up on CNN. So Boris, come back to the show when you're
down here.
We're
doing video now. Well, I'll reach out to him and and like, listen, you want to talk about somebody who looks good bald? I think it's because of the eyebrows, but he looks good bald.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looks like a little bit like a villain when he,
Well, no, when it first happened, I texted him like, "Oh, hey, Lex Luthor."
Yeah.
Like, what was it? What's with the shaved head?
Yeah. But it works.
But it works. He looks good.
That won't be me.
He look good. Maybe you would look good too. We're gonna get you a bald cap.
No.
We're gonna get you a bald cap and do it live on air.
Don't you think I've gone to like AI or filters to see what I look
not
bald?
The same.
It's not.
Not the same.
No.
Not the same.
We can't all be junior.
If it da.
No joda, yeah.
If it da.
We all can't be the guy from Fast and Furious. Yo te conozco. No digas más, okay? Yo te
When he
conozco.
told me that, I'm like, what I immediately thought, right? I'm like, does he think I'm Vin Diesel? Because if he does, I mean, I'm here for it, right?
Vin premium people. You're not even.
Because let's be honest.
Let's
be
correct him,
honest.
but hey,
if it's between Paul Walker and Vin Diesel, they're definitely not going to confuse me for Paul Walker.
This is true,
right? So was he confusing me with Vin Diesel?
Yeah, and I don't think he's confusing you for Ludacris.
One time when back to my hair, when I started growing out my hair, I was actually in Athens, Georgia, and I was on a wooden bridge. And this woman comes up to me and she goes, you look like Russell Crowe. And my question was like, right, but Gladiator Russell Crowe or fat, band Russell Crowe?
or 13 grunts.
Right, Russell Crowe. Those are two different people.
Two very different people.
And she was like, I don't know, just Russell Crowe. And I'm like, okay, I'll take it. Like,
yeah. I mean, it's still an Academy Award winner.
I mean, I would like to think I was like, post Gladiator, getting into my grunge rocker era Russell Crowe.
When he stopped going to the gym 7 days a week, but was still going like 4.
Right.
Yeah.
And eating the carbs.
Right. He had bread.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so he's on the Gwyneth Paltrow diet now. Yeah. Because do you remember a couple of weeks ago we were talking about what Gwyneth Paltrow doesn't eat? Or he said that she wouldn't eat something. Well, it was on the news a couple of days later. It was actually a headline that Gwyneth Paltrow started eating carbs and cheese. The fact that this was a headline with everything going on, because it's not like we're living in slow news times.
Correct.
Right.
Right.
The fact that this was a headline, Again, we were on the money.
We were on the money.
So now you people know Gwyneth Paltrow eats carbs and cheese.
Yes.
I slept better at night
You,
when I knew
Me
that.
too.
You and I will never predict the future about anything important.
No.
But bullshit like this,
Never the lottery numbers. Never none of that shit. But yeah.
But we're on it. We're on stuff like this.
Also, I wanted to say that going back to that conversation of Gwyneth Paltrow, Goop is just 2 O's in between her initials.
Oh.
Really?
That's it.
So was she trying to think of a name and
It was like something for it to have that sound.
So
Because it's just fun to say something with 2 O's, a ooh sound, and they just positioned it between her initials.
so my
That's
company
literally-
would be Doob?
There you go.
Mine wouldn't happen. It'd be Iol.
That's actually right off brand.
Wait.
You need to find out the pronunciation. It's probably like Ju,
Iol.
Yug. Some Golden Girls pronunciation.
Yeah.
Guten Tag.
And St. Olaf.
Hans and France. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, so that is the most Gwyneth reason to name something. Let's put 2 things between my initials and find out what happens.
I mean, it could have been Geep,
Yeah. Gip.
Gip,
Gup.
Gap. Instead of Gap, it would have been like Gap. Wait, what else is a vowel?
Sometimes Y, so it could have been Geep. Or Gipe. Are you thinking of the Family Guy skit?
I am.
When Y
When
comes,
Y comes in
to the meeting.
to the meeting, yeah, they're all annoyed. All the other vowels are annoyed. How did he know I was thinking about that? How do you do that?
That's my
Do you know what we're talking about, dude?
that's my useless superpower.
I was thinking about that. Then he comes in on his cell phone with a briefcase into the boardroom.
They're so mad. And they're so mad when they see him.
Okay. Back to your last soda. We've been on this segment for like 5 hours.
I know. Yeah, the soda's lukewarm. So my last soda is going to someone who I recently discovered on Instagram. His name is Dustin Poynter, Poynter. Okay, and that's his Instagram handle. Now, some of you may know him as the flag guy. What he does is he gives people he finds like videos on the internet, or people send him videos on the internet, and he gives people either a green flag or a red flag.
Mm-hmm.
So if he gives you a red flag, it's because you're doing something that's like, you're being stupid, or
You're being an asshole.
you're being a jerk or whatever. But it's never like that serious, right? It's never something just patently like horrible. And then the green flag is if you're doing something that's really great. And so he'll just post videos of like dads combing their daughter's hair and whatever, and he'll be like, green flag, and he has an actual flag, a gigantic flag that he'll like run up and down
and then they'll have
field.
people leaving comments that are red flag comments.
I don't look at the comments because you know what? Why ruin the day, right? But like, for instance, an example of the red flag is like this girlfriend was, I'm assuming it was a girlfriend, was filming like her boyfriend making like chicken parm, but the only breaded chicken he could find was the dino nuggets. So he was making it with that, and so he gave her the red flag because she was being all like, bah, "That's stupid." But his version of giving the red flag was like, whatever, I would totally eat that. Woman, you're about to have a prehistoric Parmesan, and so things like that. And then his whole thing is, instead of roasting someone, he honey roasts them, which is basically where he looks like he's about to like tell you mean things, but then he says like, you know what? You look like you give the best hugs. You've been honey roasted. So, it's just, he's very positive. And I again think we just need more of that nowadays. And
What's his name? Flagger guy?
his Instagram is Dustin Poynter, Poynter. He's known as the flag guy. And he even sells merch. That one of the merch is actually like a skeleton coming out of the grave that says "Good people aren't all dead."
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, good for him.
So, some positivity.
When you said his name, I thought you were going to say Buster Poindexter.
Oh, yeah.
Do we know what he sings?
Hot, hot, hot.
Ole, ole, ole. How they ended every party in the late 80s and early 90s. Feeling hot, hot, hot.
That was every end of every quince choreography.
It was. It was. It so was.
It was. I didn't care how long or short the choreography was. You were ending it with a comparsa to hot, hot, hot.
You were. That song's off.
It is, but Funny thing about Buster Poindexter that I didn't know until a couple years ago. He actually was like a New York like underground musician, I think with the New York Dolls. And his name was not Buster Poindexter in that. And so he created this Buster Poindexter like cheesy like party host persona. And that's what
I told you this the other day, and you know, since this is our music episode, we'll end it with this. I told you this the other day, you know, as people who like, we were kids in the 80s, and 90s too, but 80s, you know, 80s music is like so nostalgic and all that. And I'm not hating on 80s music. I love 80s music. But now when you're older, you realize a lot of those songs sucked. Nobody's going to tell me that hey, Mickey, you're so fine. That's not a good song. Is Whip It by Devo really a good song? Am I supposed to sit here and say that's a good song?
You know what? With Devo, I don't know because they're so like...
Whip It good.
Well, they're so lauded as like art, like being artsy that maybe I'm wrong.
No, but you know what song from the 80s was good?
Go on.
Don't you want me? You know I can't believe it when you say that you won't hear me. Don't. That's a good song.
That is a good song.
That's a good song.
You don't have many waitresses at a cocktail bar anymore.
No.
I was working.
Yes. Yeah, but all these songs,
dying
you
profession.
know, there's a bunch of songs from the 80s that it's like, they're not good.
But you know what? Okay, I will say this in terms of Mickey, and I'm not. The song is whatever. It's nostalgic. It's whatever. But I will say Ms. Toni Basil is in her 80s, and that woman is still dancing every chance she
good
gets.
for her.
You know what I'm saying?
Listen,
so you know what?
I would be milking that Mickey money too.
And she's a choreographer. Like she's.
I'm not.
No. We're not disparaging Toni Basil,
but there are some songs from the 80s that we grew up with that we were like.
And again, that's just the law of averages. You know.
That it's like
not everything can be good.
You know what I think is really underrated from the 80s that people don't talk about her anymore is
Jane Child?
No, Chico. Laura Branigan.
Oh.
Gloria, they think you got your number.
She had another song.
She had a bunch of songs.
Yeah, she died. Children, I live among the creatures of the night.
That song is good.
That song
is good.
Very gothic.
You know what song I used to sing a ton as I was a kid?
Redid that song. No, Ricky Martin kind of redid that song.
Que día soy,
Yeah.
no me aguanto, que caray.
That was him with a white background in a bathtub.
Yeah.
Why do I remember this?
Yeah, but a lot of these songs from the 80s were like, Whip It is not a good song. No. But you know what is a good song? Actually, it's probably one of my favorite songs.
All right, but we got to end it after this.
Okay, great. We'll end it on this song.
Okay.
Junior Sing Along is... wait, how does it go?
It's so great he forgot.
Baby, come back.
Oh, you can blame it all on me.
I was wrong, and I just can't live without you.
Boom, boom, boom.
The best part of that song is the outro.
Yeah.
The guitar outro at the end, which when they play it on 101.5, because it's, you know, when they play it and that, they cut the outro. And it's like, you cut the best part of the song. Okay, this is the end of Pero Let Me Tell You, because we're going to continue with the 80s hits.
Yes. These are all the hits you can't find on Fired Up.
No. This would be an adult rock.
All the greatest hits you totally remember, both on the AM and FM dials.
And it feels so good.
Remember that special time with that special person.
My endless love.
Wow, that was such a big hit on the radio and the movies.
Baby, come to me. Let me put my arms around. I love that song, actually. James Ingram.
We gotta stop. We gotta stop. Because you're gonna go for another hour on James Ingram.
I know James Ingram.
I know.
Wait, what do I say at the end? We hope you listened, laughed, and learned. And remember to grab your croqueta, your pastelito, and your cafecito,
and your Fired Up
collection or whatever other, the Ultimate Party album. Remember that, or whatever other music compilation album you bought in the late '90s and early 2000s. See you next week, everyone.
Bye.